most watched newscast.
Reporting from Monterey Park, California, I'm Robin Roberts. Wherever the story is, we're going to take you there. You're streaming ABC News live.
Tonight, a deadly series of catastrophic storms. Hundreds of thousands out of power, more than a dozen killed across 9 states as torrential rains, heavy winds, and tornadoes come down on millions of Americans. The extent of the devastation and the stormy weather now impacting millions of travelers on this holiday. Plus,
we kept getting better at it and better at it and better at it. And the world keeps getting in worse and worse and worse shape. And then recycling becomes a thing. And all of a sudden, hey, this idiot that's building buildings out of garbage, maybe he's not such an idiot after all.
We explore how the power to help save the future lies within all of us. There are homes not connected to water or electricity and utilize recycled materials for their structures. They're called Earth ships. And tonight, Ginger Z pays a visit to New Mexico, where more than 100 of them serve as an example of what the future could look like. And honoring the brave men and women and their families who have served the U.S. and paid the ultimate price, the outpouring of gratitude across the country as we commemorate the sacrifices of the nation's military. Good evening, everyone. I'm Alex Perche in for Lindsay Davis. Thank you so much for streaming with us. We're following those stories and much more, including the anticipation before closing statements are delivered in former President Donald Trump's hush money trial and when we could expect a verdict from the jury. And plus, the terrible moments, a landslide buried more than 2,000 people in Papua New Guinea. The government now asking for international help. The rescue mission now underway. And remembering a legend, the life and incredible career of NBA Hall of Famer Bill Walton, gone at the age of 71. But we begin with that severe weather threat this Memorial Day. From Alabama to New York, heavy rains, flash floods, and the possibility of tornadoes. Tonight, 70 million people are on alert. And take a look at this, a tornado tearing through a gas station convenience store in Valley View, Texas. Winds up to 135 miles an hour. More than 100 people were sheltering inside, and thankfully no one was seriously hurt. And Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear has declared a state of emergency after extensive damage was reported in the state. And all this dangerous weather is looming over the return trip home for a record number of Americans traveling this holiday weekend. Thousands of flights were delayed today. New York's JFK ordered a ground stop this afternoon. And we have the forecast in a moment. But first, Maria Villarreal leads us off from the storm zone in Texas.
Tonight, the death toll rising from a severe weather outbreak targeting the East Coast for Memorial Day.
From North Carolina, the Outer Banks, all the way to New York City, dealing with strong storms.
Those storms targeting crucial airports on a very busy day for air travel. Our Gio Benitez at LaGuardia.
Here in the New York area, we are already seeing hundreds of cancellations and delays after those ground stops. And of course, these are major airports, so we will see ripple effects across the country.
The system now hitting the east, the same one that left a trail of destruction across multiple states.
What do I do?
72 tornadoes reported since Friday, and tonight we're seeing firsthand what it was like inside a gas station as it was hit by an EF2 tornado north of Dallas Saturday night. A storm chaser taking shelter with families in the dark. Seconds after they get inside, face to face with a 135-mile-an-hour twister. Miraculously, no one here was seriously hurt.
Oh my God! You can see the sheer force of this tornado right behind me. I mean, the metal coming completely down from the gas station, cars flipped over and then landing on top of each other.
You can see Ricky Heron in that video, in the orange hat. He told our Samara Theodora he laid on top of his wife to protect her.
It got so intense that I could feel every particle of dirt, sand, fiberglass, glass hitting my face.
200 homes and businesses just in Texas destroyed. Over 600,000 without power at one point. At least 21 killed across 4 states, including 4 children. States of emergency declared in Texas, Arkansas, and Kentucky, where officials say at least 100 highways and roads sustained damage.
Maria joins us now from hard-hit Valley View, Texas. Maria, some of those images are just incredible to see, but I understand the threat's not over there?
Unfortunately, Alex, it is not. You know, the Vasquez family, they live in the home right behind me. They rode out the storm, the tornado inside when it came through here. The mother actually told me that she held onto a doorknob to try and save herself. Clearly, the roof is gone. The home has been destroyed, but there is an army of people trying to help them with that cleanup of the debris because, as you mentioned, I mean, this weather has been relentless for these people. We are expecting more storms overnight with an even bigger threat of damaging winds, possible hail, and even tornadoes into tomorrow. Alex?
Thank you, Maria. Let's get right to ABC meteorologist Samara Theodore, also in Texas. Samara, time out this severe weather for us.
You know, Alex, about 20 minutes south of where I'm standing, this severe threat has reemerged. A severe thunderstorm watch is in effect right now from Denton and Dallas, Texas, all the way down to Waco and San Antonio. We're also monitoring the threat for severe storms in the southeast. But take a look at the I-95 corridor, where a tornado watch is in effect for Baltimore all the way down to North Carolina, and severe storms possible as far north as upstate New York. It's also an issue when it comes to flooding. Folks are traveling home along the I-95 corridor. As we head through the overnight, they will encounter a ton of rain. Elevated flash flood risk for this area in yellow, where they could see up to 3 inches of rain falling in a short amount of time. And finally, I just have to note that tomorrow there's another elevated risk for severe weather, which brings the potential for tornadoes again here in central Texas. And they're still reeling from the tornadoes we saw this past weekend. Alex?
All right, Samara, thank you very much. Closing arguments are scheduled to begin tomorrow here in New York in this historic criminal trial of former President Donald Trump. He's charged with 34 felony counts of falsifying business records to cover up hush money payments to Stormy Daniels just weeks before the 2016 presidential election. Let's bring in our Aaron Katersky. And listen, Aaron, as we know, closing arguments scheduled to begin this week, but this was a complicated trial. And so I'm curious, how will each side try to simplify their closing arguments for this jury?
Yeah, 5 weeks of testimony, 22 different witnesses, and for the defense, it's probably the simplest argument. No crime, no foul, no criminal intent, and the witnesses that you heard from, most of them don't have any credibility. That's the essence of the defense argument. And for prosecutors, they are going to paint a much different and more dire picture. They are going to say that the hush payment to Stormy Daniels was part of a broader scheme hatched by Trump and Michael Cohen and David Pecker at the National Enquirer to bury unflattering stories about Trump. Stormy Daniels, probably the most unflattering, and her allegation of a sexual tryst that Trump denies. And prosecutors are going to say this was all a scheme to keep voters from hearing important information before they made their choice in 2016. And they're going to say that Donald Trump was there every step of the way.
Well, Aaron, I know you'll continue to cover it all, but thank you for that roundup. Joining us to give a sense of what we can expect in the days ahead at former President Trump's criminal trial is Adam Schlahett, the director of the Brendan Moore Trial Advocacy Center at Fordham University School of Law. Adam, first, thank you for the time. But I want to start with the prosecution here. There are probably some concerns that some jurors might not believe parts of Michael Cohen's testimony. So how much will that matter?
Well, that's going to be the prosecution's real challenge, right? They're going to have to make sure that the jury sees the evidence from an aerial view, right? So that they can see that how everything fits together and how all of this evidence corroborates Michael Cohen, right? There are a few things that only Michael Cohen was witness to, but if all of that is consistent with the words of other witnesses, right, then the jury can, then the prosecution can persuade the jury that they don't need to trust Michael Cohen. They do need to use their common sense.
Gotcha. Does this fit the overall narrative there? The other thing is that Trump is charged with 34 counts of falsifying business records. Normally, that's a misdemeanor here in New York State. But remind viewers as to why these were bumped up to felony charges.
Well, it's a misdemeanor to falsify the business records. But if you're falsifying the business records in order to further or conceal another crime, then it's a felony. And in this case, one of the underlying crimes that the prosecution is going to be arguing is that they were breaking election law by conspiring together to attempt to unlawfully influence the election. And so they don't need to prove the underlying crime They just need to prove that when they were falsifying the business records, they were doing that in order to, with the intent to cover up that other crime.
And Adam, the defense argued that the alleged hush money payments weren't criminal because Trump was merely attempting to protect his reputation and keep his family from learning about an alleged extramarital affair. So how will the prosecution push back on that?
Well, they're going to cite to a number of examples in the testimony where Trump made decisions and took actions because of election consequences. I mean, just the timing of the whole situation, it doesn't make sense, really, that he was only thinking about his wife and his reputation. And he's allowed to be concerned about his reputation and his wife, but if he's doing it to influence the election, those two things can be true at the same time.
Well, and certainly don't want to get ahead of ourselves here, but lastly, if the jury does find Donald Trump guilty here, you assume that there's going to be an appeal process, but how would that play out?
Well, Donald Trump would remain at liberty. He would not be put into jail that day if he was convicted. A sentencing would be adjourned. The defense attorneys would notify the court that they're making a number of appeals, and the court may, if they choose, and if they think that the appellate issues are legitimate enough, may adjourn his sentencing until the appellate process is concluded. Or the court could impose sentence before the appellate process is concluded. So there's going to be a lot of legal wrangling, there's going to be a lot of pre-sentencing reports, and there's going to be a lot of motions filed.
A lot more coverage ahead. Adam, thank you so much for your insights. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Next tonight, to the horror overseas after a catastrophic landslide in Papua New Guinea. More than 2,000 people could be buried, and an urgent search is underway for survivors. Rescuers have struggled reaching those victims. Here's ABC foreign correspondent James Longman.
2,000 people are now feared buried alive tonight in that devastating Papua New Guinea landslide. That's 3 times previous estimates. More than 72 hours since it struck, locals are still digging for survivors with spades, sticks, anything they can find, even their bare hands. More than 150 homes were engulfed here, the rubble 25 feet deep in places. Local media say rescuers have heard cries for help and that one couple was incredibly found alive. Few were as lucky. This woman says she has 18 family members buried in the debris, but that she's helpless to retrieve them. The first heavy machinery arrived today, but the recovery operation is dangerous. Terrain still unstable. Rescuers can only move so fast. So far, they've found the bodies of just 5 victims.
It's very difficult to recover the bodies from underneath the heavy debris. And the land is still sliding. Rocks are continuing to fall.
Before and after satellite images show the extent of the damage. The landslide slicing through a 1,000-foot-long scar in the hillside.
And tonight, Alex, with those search efforts proving difficult, the government of Papua New Guinea has formally asked the international community for help. Alex?
James, thank you. And in the Middle East, airstrikes in Gaza killed dozens of people overnight in the southern city of Rafah. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu now acknowledging there was a technical failure and calls the civilian deaths a, quote, tragic accident. ABC foreign correspondent Britt Clinton has the latest from Tel Aviv.
Tonight, screams of horror amid a burning inferno. The frightful, frantic moments after Israeli strikes engulfed a refugee camp in western Rafah on Sunday night. Desperate attempts to put out the flames, people scrambling to rescue anyone they can. At least 50 killed and 249 injured in the overnight attack, according to the Hamas-run Gaza Health Ministry. Many people treated with severe burns and shrapnel injuries. Tonight, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu calling the strikes a tragic mishap, saying there was a technical failure and that the incident will be investigated. The strikes hitting the Tal al-Sultan area. Manal Salman saying, "We were in the tents and suddenly we found rockets falling on us in the same place. There is nowhere safe for us to go." Her family now forced to move for the 8th time. The IDF claiming they were conducting an intelligence-based strike, which killed 2 senior Hamas officials, stating they regret any harm to uninvolved civilians during combat. The White House speaking out, a National Security Council spokesperson calling the images out of Rafah devastating and heartbreaking, adding that Israel must protect civilians, though maintaining the White House position that Israel has a right to go after Hamas.
Britt Clinton joins us now. Britt, what are U.S. officials saying about this airstrike?
Alex, a U.S. official told ABC News they received information from the Israelis that shrapnel or some kind of material from the strike may have actually ignited a fuel tank, creating that massive fire. And two IDF officials telling me that details are still unclear. And Alex, authorities are also now investigating what happened after an Egyptian soldier was killed in an exchange of fire involving Israeli troops at the Rafah crossing. Alex?
Britt, thank you. Let's bring in ABC News contributor and former senior CIA operations officer Daryl Blocker for more on this. Daryl, I'm curious, even though Netanyahu is blaming a, quote, technical failure behind this strike, are there signs that this will curb Israel's offensive here?
Alex, I doubt seriously that it's going to stop the IDF from doing what it needs to do. These two Hamas leaders have been known to them for more than 2 decades. They were taken off the hit list because Israel recognized that they were exchanged for Israeli prisoners in the past, and they were agreed not to kill them. All bets are off now. And unfortunately, when you strike, sometimes you hit trucks that might have munitions in them or other things that might ignite, and those innocent people were caught up in the fray.
Well, and Daryl, Israel has faced a lot of pressure worldwide, but specifically from the U.S. to protect civilians in Gaza as it fights against Hamas. I'm curious, could this latest incident cause a rift between the two allies?
Again, I doubt that it will. I mean, listen, they've been having tough discussions for a very long time now, and the United States should keep up the pressure to make sure that innocents aren't injured. But Hamas also bears responsibility. They are the ones who are using people, not allowing them to move or putting them in harm's way. So it's a two-way fence.
With ceasefire talks stalled, I mean, how does this hinder efforts to revive those negotiations?
I would imagine that the peace talks have never stopped. The exchange of hostages continue to be discussed. And it's really tough when you have to talk to people that you know have been responsible for killing people that you love, whether it's on the Palestinian side or the Israeli side. But no, I don't think it will stop any efforts to exchange of the hostages or to work towards a ceasefire.
And Daryl, the other thing is, I mean, Netanyahu's been under tremendous pressure for his response in Gaza. I'm curious, what did you make of his statements about this latest attack?
I think it's a good sign that he's so quickly basically stepped up and said, listen, the target, of course, were the two Hamas senior leaders, and there was a mistake. And the mistake was they probably didn't have enough intelligence on the ground to recognize that the munitions cache or whatever that was hit that ignited was there. So they stepped up and took responsibility immediately, which Hamas has not done at all since the 7th of October, or quite frankly, since their founding in the late 80s.
Do you think that'll help him with his perception globally?
I doubt it, but it'll certainly provide the U.S. with some measure of ability to say that the Israelis are being responsive, yes.
Daryl Blocker, I appreciate your insights, sir.
Thank you.
And back here in the U.S., the urgent manhunt for the suspects wanted in the deadly shooting of former General Hospital actor Johnny Wachter in downtown Los Angeles. Police say he was shot and killed after interrupting 3 thieves attempting to steal his car's catalytic converter. Here's Zareen Shaw.
Johnny Wachter was best known for his role on General Hospital, but tonight police in Los Angeles are searching for his killer after the actor was fatally shot early Saturday morning. Wachter's mother says he was leaving a bartending shift downtown with a female coworker when he saw someone working on his car. She says her son asked if he was getting towed.
The person looked up, they had a mask on, and they pulled out a gun. And from what I understand, Johnny literally stood in between himself and his colleague, and the shooter just pulled the trigger and ran away.
According to police, the suspects who got away were trying to steal the car's catalytic converter. Wachter was rushed to the hospital where he died. The 37-year-old actor was a familiar face on TV with appearances on more than a dozen shows like NCIS, Criminal Minds, and more than 160 episodes playing Brando Corbin on General Hospital.
When I got home, I thought I was handling it.
The show saying in a statement he was truly one of a kind and a pleasure to work with. Wachter's mother asking why the suspect had to shoot her son, telling ABC Johnny would have given him the car. There is a very large hole on our hearts and lives.
Zorine joins us now from Los Angeles. Zorine, obviously a lot of heartache for the Wachter family, but how are they remembering him tonight?
Alex, Johnny Wachter's mom says her son was a beautiful soul who lived his life to the fullest. Meanwhile, LAPD detectives are looking for any clues to track down these killers. Alex.
Zorine, thank you. Next up, he was a larger-than-life figure on the court and off. Basketball legend Bill Walton died today following a long battle with cancer. The beloved Hall of Famer won championships both in college and in the NBA. And after his playing days were over, his color commentary was one of a kind, eccentric, unpredictable, and always fun. Here's Trevor Ault.
A 6'11" free spirit, Bill Walton's legacy stands even taller. Walton was one of the best to ever play the sport. A two-time NCAA champion at UCLA and three-time Player of the Year, picked first overall in the 1974 NBA draft. He won championships with the Portland Trail Blazers and Boston Celtics, earning regular season and finals MVP honors, all while trumpeting the importance of teamwork and unselfishness.
You know, the cooperative spirit of just, making the team a better place, making the world a better place.
When foot injuries ended his career early, Walton stayed close to basketball in an improbable second act, fighting through a lifelong stutter, becoming a beloved basketball broadcaster.
Second chance opportunity. The physical nature of the Wildcats.
Known for his unbridled enthusiasm and off-the-wall tangents.
Bill is taking his shirt off.
His colorful personality matched by his signature tie-dye T-shirts, a tribute to his favorite band, The Grateful Dead. Walton reflecting on his life and career in the ESPN documentary series 30 for 30.
I am a better person today for the failures, for the problems, for the injuries, for the catastrophic health challenges. I'm certainly a different person.
And Alex, in a statement, NBA Commissioner Adam Silver says Walton was a dominant force on the court, but he'll most remember him for his boundless energy and zest for life. Bill Walton was 71 years old. Alex.
Trevor, thank you for that. And still much more to get to here on Prime. It's not quite the fountain of youth, but one man believes it's the next best thing. We'll introduce you to the millionaire biohacker and the extremes he's going to in an effort to extend his life. But next, a lifelong dream turned into reality. Meet the man behind Earthships, vessels built into the Earth. He's hoping to prove that it's possible to live with our land and not against it.
Coming of age in the 1980s, the Brat Pack was near the center of your cultural awareness. But for those of us experiencing it from the inside, the Brat Pack was something very different.
I'm really sorry that article had to come out.
I just remember seeing that cover and thinking, oh. So I thought it might be interesting to try and contact everyone who is in the Brat Pack. You were not interested in talking about the Brat Pack.
I turned everything down.
How come you're talking to me?
Because it was time that we clear the air on a couple of things.
Whoa. I hated the Brat Pack for decades. What a disaster.
Why did we take it as an offense?
We're afraid we were brats, you know.
Andrew?
I mean, I'm not going to say we were the Beatles or anything.
Well, we didn't fill Shea Stadium. There were moments.
We could have. 1985, I think we could have.
I experienced a lot of rejection, a lot of heartache. I'm a tough woman, but it's not easy. You're gonna feel lonely. There was a lot of personal stuff in my life that was really falling apart. But Mom and Daddy didn't raise no quitter.
Not everybody makes it.
It's taken me a really long time to even get to this moment.
And the CMA Award for Album of the Year for Female Vocalist of the Year.
Entertainer of the Year
goes to Lainey
Wilson.
That was a mic drop.
The Entertainer of the Year, baby!
What she is doing right now is changing country music.
I'm proud of myself. I really am. I have worked my ass off. Now it's time to see what's next. I do see the bell bottoms and the hat as my superhero outfit.
The sisters of Nicole Brown Simpson.
How do you live with 30 years of rage and heartbreak?
Their first TV interview in 30 years.
Our top story, the death of O.J. Simpson.
Did it change anything for you?
The horror they discovered their sister Nicole faced from her secret diaries and behind closed doors.
It was just frightening. I just wish that I had known more. My sister lived in hell.
The Diane Sawyer interview.
The pain doesn't go away.
Starting tomorrow morning on GMA.
If you want a relationship, a happy relationship, you need to be in control of that relationship.
Andrew Tate is one of many male supremacy influencers.
You see him as this guy that has money, has girls. Basically, he's a god.
This compound, where prosecutors say he ran a sex trafficking business from.
We're not the first affluent, wealthy men who have been unfairly attacked.
You think he raped you?
They never meant for any of this to be public.
Someone has to say there's something wrong going around here.
Andrew Tate, Into the Manosphere, now streaming on Hulu. You're watching America's #1 streaming news, ABC News Live. Breaking news, exclusives, live reporting across the globe. Keep streaming with ABC News Live.
I'm Medea Villarreal in Houston, Texas. Wherever the story is, we'll take you there. You're streaming with ABC News Live.
Welcome back. Living with the land. It's become a special point of interest as we try to reverse or at the very least slow the damage being done to Earth. So enter Earth ships, living vessels built into the Earth, not connected to water or electricity, and made with gravel, old tires, concrete, basically trash. There are about 100 Earth ships in New Mexico, and that's where we find our Ginger Z, who's lived in one to see how it all works.
I imagine everybody on the planet can be comfortable without fossil fuel. This is it. It's not a pipe dream. This is it. This water was rain. That's aloe vera. This is kale. Here are tomatoes right here. I know that these tomatoes don't have pesticides. I'm living with my food. I'm 79, I have stage 4 cancer, and this lifestyle is keeping me alive. Everybody can grow food in their house. Everybody can have electricity from the sun and wind. Everybody can learn how to treat their sewage. These buildings do that. So I just live, eat, sleep, and breathe Earthships because they take care of me.
Okay, this is wild. The pictures don't even do it justice.
Good morning.
Hi.
How are you? Let's start when you move out here in 1969. Tell me about the process.
I designed a building brick out of beer cans. I was in my 20s, and I told this engineer friend in a bar about the idea. I'm going to build a house out of beer cans because they're all over the place, and we want to get rid of them, and we don't want to get rid of trees.
Yeah.
It seemed logical. We use the garbage in this community. Cans, tires, cardboard. We use every bottle that anybody can find. We use a huge portion of the garbage.
How does it feel to be the father of Earthships?
Well, it's like any other father situation. It had its ups and downs. But overall, it's starting to take a life of its own. The simple definition of an Earthship is that it's a dwelling vessel that encounters the phenomena of the planet to provide sustenance for the people that live in it.
And there are 6 pillars.
People need comfortable shelter wherever they are. that doesn't require fossil fuel. They need water. They need electricity. We're not going backwards. They need to do something with human waste. They need to do something with garbage, and they need food.
It's about the autonomy of the vessel. So you got a crew out here already. Wait, we're gonna go through here? Are there rattlesnakes?
Not too many. I started using tires as an effort to recycle. And I have never been any place on this planet that doesn't have tires. So why not build with tires? My first building, the guys that were working with me thought, this guy is crazy. Then we kept getting better at it and better at it and better at it. And the world keeps getting in worse and worse and worse shape. And then recycling becomes a thing. And all of a sudden, hey, this idiot that's building buildings out of garbage, maybe he's not such an idiot after all.
I mean, they're actually putting this in by hand, like pounding dirt into tires.
The tire wall is so wide that it doesn't need a foundation. So you have a 5 or 6 foot thick wall. So the heat is not going to go out here.
And how many tires in a refuge?
1,000, say.
This is how you stay young, huh?
You either die or stay young.
Tires are known for leaching toxins.
Oh, yeah.
Why is this okay to live in?
After a tire has got 10,000 miles on it, it doesn't off-gas anymore. There's more off-gassing in a conventional home than there is in a tire home. That's a pounded tire.
It's beautiful.
That's all there is to it.
Hello.
Hello, welcome to the Earthships.
Thank you. Oh, it feels so nice and toasty in here.
Yeah, I'm gonna check you into the Phoenix where you're gonna be staying this evening. Wow. So welcome to the Phoenix. We're entering the jungle in the middle of the desert at 7,000 feet. The Phoenix is 5,000 square feet, and 2,000 of it is growing space. So this is the master bedroom.
This is quite the bathroom.
This is the bathroom. You've got earth, water, and fire in your living room. We have all the modern amenities that everybody else has, you know?
Living in an Earthship tonight. We're gonna go for the night without supplemental heat. I'm up. I slept pretty well.
I was definitely warm. And I guess that's what counts, because it is not warm outside.
I set the timer and get the water warmed up. I have a little leftover coffee and grounds. I'm gonna go put that in the compost. It is so quiet. You feel like you're in the earth or more part of nature. This is the refuge style?
This is the refuge style. The most economical Earthship. On a cold night, you walk in one of these and you go, this is amazing, this is warm. And there's no heating system here. So if you put people in a position to be able to experience it, that's huge.
So this is just like a brand new construction.
It's just, everything is made very simple. You take a shower there, it goes into this bladder.
And then that's used
to flush the toilet.
And that is how you conserve water.
And this water came from the sky.
It's only trash when it looks like trash, but when it's like this, it doesn't look it.
Yeah, it's alchemy is what it really is. You're turning trash into gold. I wrap everything I want to do in hamburger. For the law, for the codes, for the people even. Because hamburger's what they know.
Make it attractive. Make it comfortable.
Make it taste good.
Make it so that when you're in an Earthship, you don't even know.
Some woman came to stay in one, and she said, well, I couldn't even tell I was in an Earthship. I thought I was in a regular home. Everything feels the same. And I'm like, I've been busting my ass for 50 years, and you say you can't even tell it's an Earthship? But then I thought about it. That's what I want.
Now that we've been here a day, I could see how I could live here, but I don't know about raising a family. I don't know about raising my 2 boys. Thankfully, we've got Tom.
I've been building this house for about 27 years.
So this is home sweet home.
The house started with a little hut on that side, and then we built the bigger house in the middle. Then we added this on, and then we attached the hut. So it's been nonstop. We have a bedroom here. That was my boys' bedrooms for years.
The boys lived there their whole lives.
Yeah, they were born here, and they're true Earthship kids.
Did they ever struggle with, like, oh, those are the Earthship kids?
Their friends would come out here and just be blown away by the plants and stuff.
Right, it was special.
Yeah.
There wasn't a sacrifice for them.
This house performs like a normal house in so many ways, and so they weren't really lacking for anything.
If we can get the minds and even hearts of people to want this and to realize they need it, the law will follow.
Over the years, permitting got in the way a lot for Earthships, and sustainable building hasn't always been at the forefront of every state's policy. So we figured we'd come here and see what they're doing to make sustainable living more likely.
Fancy meeting you here.
You as well. Wonderful to see you, Governor.
Nice to see you, Ginger.
Shall we go this way?
Yes, please.
We just came from living in an Earthship, so apologies if I'm a little wrinkled. And
How was that? I haven't lived in an Earthship.
Would you try?
Oh, I would try in a minute.
How important is it to experiment with sustainability like that?
Oh, I think all of that has incredible value. I mean, knowing that you can live completely off the grid and have sustainable building materials all recycled. We sometimes forget there isn't anything we can't do, which is why I stay both humbled and positive.
There are permit rules. There are a lot of, it comes down to, it costs so much to try.
We made clear that we are going to incentivize where we build to local bodies of government that modernize their zoning and permitting. You can't build these and be innovative fast enough to meet the needs of your communities, then we're going to look at other strategies that put you in a position where there's less option for your refusal.
What would you say you'd like your legacy to be?
I want to see millions of these all over the planet.
Not everyone will be able to live in an Earthship tomorrow. But if there's one lesson that conventional construction should take, we should try to live with the Earth, not against it.
It's a good lesson indeed. Our thanks to Ginger Z for that. And still much more to get to. What if you could live forever? Meet the man investing millions of dollars every year to try to extend his life.
Whenever news breaks,
We are here in Israel, a nation at war.
In Rolling Fork, this tornado tore through this town.
From Lewiston, Maine.
The scene of a horrific mass shooting.
From the scene of that deadly missile strike.
ABC News Live everywhere.
In Iceland, let's go.
On the 2024 campaign trail.
Here at 10 Downing Street.
Wherever the story is.
We're going to take you there.
You're streaming.
ABC News Live.
ABC News Live.
You're streaming ABC News Live.
ABC News Live, streaming free everywhere.
It's lunchtime in America, so what are we serving up?
Well, how about everything you need to know?
You know, that sounds pretty good.
Give it to me. Your health, your money, breaking news, pop culture, with the biggest stars, music, trends, and of course, good food. GMA 3, what you need to know. A third hour of GMA in the afternoon.
So join us, afternoons.
For everything you need to know. I love that.
What does it take to be the most watched newscast in America?
An operation to capture ISIS fighters.
Is this our Combat Operations Center?
We're approaching the gate now. Militants came in from 4 or 5 different directions. Operational nuclear reactor. So you have a couple loaded and ready to go. The house is destroyed, but the flag, there's not a tear in it.
Not a tear in it.
How important is this label right here, Made in the USA? Look at your smile. You're proud of this.
I love this.
Great work.
Hi.
Where are you? Where are you?
Appreciate you.
Thank you, David. Good to meet you. Ismail? David.
David.
Yes, yes. I'm David Muir.
I know who you are.
You
Watch
do?
you every night.
ABC's World News Tonight with David Muir is America's most watched newscast.
Let's go.
The ship is incredible. It feels like living in a science fiction movie.
We just saw what no one has seen before.
Wow, look at that.
Oh my gosh.
Well, dead ahead. Tag on!
We are heading into the unknown.
Hammer, hammer, hammer. It doesn't get any more cutting edge than this.
Why do so many people start their day here?
From ABC News, this is Start Here.
To be in the know and get a different take on the day's top stories.
A lot of news today, so let's get into it.
Listen now to the Daily News Podcast honored with 4 Edward R. Murrow Awards and see why the New York Times calls it a news podcast worth listening to. Start Here, ABC News. Make it your daily first listen.
Now, that's a part of the story I bet you didn't see coming.
Wherever you get your podcasts, Start Here.
Reporting from the protests at Columbia University, I'm Stephanie Ramos. Wherever the story is, we'll take you there. You're streaming ABC News Live.
Welcome back. Reversing your biological age has long been a holy grail of sorts, but this might be stating the obvious. No one can live forever. Biological age tests are starting to catch on, and there are a whole slew of wearable fitness bands to track just about everything we do. And tonight, we want to bring you the story of one man who's shelling out $2 million a year to try to extend his life. You may have heard of him as a person who's done things like inject himself with his son's plasma. But is any of it helping? And what aspects of his pricey approach can the average person actually try? Our Eva Pilgrim introduces us to Brian Johnson, whose lofty goal may seem unobtainable, but his steadfast commitment to stay healthy and live longer might just have you rethinking your daily routine.
Right now is the very first time in human history where you can say with a straight face, you may not die.
You believe that?
Oh, there's no question.
What if you could live forever? It's hard to believe tech millionaire Brian Johnson is 46 years old. But no matter his chronological age, he's striving for the biological age of an 18-year-old. Nicknamed Zero, Brian calls himself an explorer and the most measured person in history, hoping to bring world peace through longevity.
We bought this device based upon a small study done at Stanford, where they showed that this intense pulse life stamped across the body. It changes the genetic expression profile.
His team of 30 doctors utilize all the latest tech. The plan is rigorous.
It's actually really hard.
Yeah, it is. And it burns really fast.
And took years to develop.
There's 50 or so more pills that go with that.
At $2 million a year, a life like this is out of reach for almost everyone. But maybe not for much longer.
Accessibility of technology is also accelerating.
His decisions from his sleep schedule.
What time do you wake up in the morning?
Around 4:30 or 5.
To what he eats.
And I'll take around 60 pills.
Oh, my dear.
To how long he works out. All determined by artificial intelligence.
And this is what I take on a daily basis.
It's part of his quest to live forever, which he believes may happen in our lifetime.
And what I've shown is for the very first time, we could potentially think about ourselves improving at the speed of technology. That is the moment where we transition from Homo sapiens to Homo Deus.
On this day at his home in Los Angeles, he lets us into his pricey routine and his excitement for the future of the human race.
I'm the first human to opt into an algorithm that takes better care of me than I can myself.
He calls his all-encompassing protocol Project Blueprint.
Blueprint was born out of trying to fix my own problems, but then taking care of my family, my kids and my parents, my friends.
It's generated a steady churn of shock headlines. He once injected himself with his son's plasma. He eats dinner at 11 a.m. and even measures his nighttime erections. He recognizes how insane this all sounds.
I'm the most sane person I know. The perceptions people have about Blueprint and me are all wrong.
If reverse aging were a religion, Brian would be its leader in this rapidly expanding field of biohacking. Full body scans now all the rage for celebrities. There's experimental lasers and a competitive market for wearable tech to measure biometrics. And for the average enthusiast, at-home test kits now available to tell you your supposed biological age. He wasn't always this healthy, this happy, or this rich. Growing up in a modest Mormon household in Utah, at 21, he returned from a mission trip to Ecuador and came back with one goal in mind.
The only thing I wanted to do with my life was trying to improve the human race.
And so you set out on that mission?
I did. I was pretty naive.
So how did you make it happen?
I just started building companies. Then I started another company and another. I then bought Venmo, and then we got bought for just under $1 billion in 2013.
I read that you were really unhappy during that time.
I was born into a religion that's very tight-knit. It's basically, it consumes your entire identity. And then I got married, I had children, I was doing a startup, and those worlds kind of just combined. So the lack of sleep and the grind on a startup created some depression, and yeah, I think I would have taken my life. I think I genuinely would have taken my life had it not been for my children.
How did you get yourself out of that?
When I was 34 years old, in 1 year's time, I sold my company. My marriage ended. I left the church, and I went off to remap my whole existence.
Welcome to the future. Caution may cause loss of age.
As we enter Brian's clinic,
this uses multispectral imaging, and then it generates 10 data points on your skin health.
we see a room full of high-tech, hospital-grade gear, chosen to measure his progress and hopefully help turn back the hands of time.
This is professional hearing grade system, so I suffered from hearing loss. So this ear is bio-aged as 64.
And have you found anything that's helped with that?
Not yet. We've been trying very hard.
There's other damage he's working to reverse. For years, at night, a version of himself would creep in, who he nicknamed Evening Brian.
And in that moment, the only thing that would soothe my pain of existence were the brownies in the kitchen. And just for that brief moment, have this spike of enjoyment. And then I would finish and I'd just feel awful. And so one night I got to this point and I said, "Evening, Brian, you who makes my life so miserable, you're fired."
Since 2021, this is Brian's reality. Routine blood draws, red light therapy for his skin, and this machine.
If you put this device on your abdomen when you lay down, this is the equivalent of doing 20,000 sit-ups in 30 minutes.
Okay.
Heading down to the kitchen, another aspect of Brian's life optimized. He eats the same thing for breakfast and for lunch every day.
Breakfast, which is this super veggie, broccoli, cauliflower, mushrooms, black lentils, hemp seeds, garlic, and ginger. So remember, every calorie has to fight for its life. Everything's doing something in your body.
It's actually, there is flavor.
His workouts, full body, only an hour long.
And you dip your foot, but you maintain, try to be a statue.
And why is that important?
Because the first things to go are knees, hips.
Of course, many of these experimental treatments are out of range for the everyday person. But Brian does use one piece of consumer wearable tech called a Whoop for tracking what he calls the difference between hope and despair, sleep.
The most meaningful thing that I've accomplished with this is I just achieved a 6-month perfect sleep score.
Wow,
Yeah, so
that's incredible.
We as a society have deprioritized sleep.
We head to Boston, the headquarters for Whoop.
The biohacker community has really latched on to this particular device.
The core sensor itself is measuring heart rate variability, skin conductivity, ambient temperature, accelerometry, respiratory rate, pulse ox, like all these different things to be able to give you this deep understanding of your body.
Whoop provided us with test bracelets to help us better understand the device.
Whoop only tracks metrics that matter.
Whoop works very, very hard to take all of the biometrics that we're reading and then turn it into the 1, 2, or 3 things that you need to know today.
An AI coach on the app provides recommendations for better athletic performance and recovery. Entering the Whoop lab full of volunteers, we hear a familiar drumbeat. The importance of sleep.
What's the most important data for the regular person to look at when they're assessing how they're doing?
I think it's a great question. I think the place to start is really sleep. Are you getting enough sleep? A lot of folks can spend the recommended 8 hours in bed, but don't wake up feeling refreshed, right? And I think Technology like Whoop allows you to troubleshoot so you can kind of back into what are the behaviors that lead to restorative sleep.
While not $2 million a year, wearable tech like Whoop can be expensive as well. But Brian believes it's not about what you start doing, it's what you stop.
So instead of trying to choose a supplement that you want to take, stop overeating, or stop going to bed late, or stop skipping exercise. So oftentimes, stopping is more powerful than starting.
That's me in the bag.
Brian is very public with his lifestyle, even sharing every detail of his methods via open source. Brian's own chief marketing officer raising her hand to become the first to test out a female version of his regimen called Blueprint XX. Bottom line, Brian says we can all embrace artificial intelligence to make smarter decisions.
When I'm on this algorithm, I can trust it. It takes care of me better than I can myself. Now, what is my mind going to say about this? I don't care. So counterintuitively, I've never been more free than any other time in my entire life.
Do you have joy in your life?
I've never been happier in my entire life.
Happier and measurably younger, Brian says his pricey investment in himself has turned back his biological clock by 5 years, and he hopes to live a long life with the people he loves.
If some freak accident happens, how do you want people to remember you?
If a freak accident happened, I hope I get hit by a bus. Because what more could I do for the internet than to be hit by the bus?
You say that with a smile on your face.
I take this endeavor seriously, but not so seriously where I don't see myself as part of the joke. I'm just so happy I get to exist. I'm so pleased that I'm alive, and I just want to keep on playing, and I hope others do too.
Wow, that's fascinating. Our thanks to Eva Pilgrim for that. And stay with us. Next, this Memorial Day, the 20-year-old paying tribute to those who served our country.
Good Morning America starting Tuesday. The Sisters of Nicole Brown Simpson.
How do you live with 30 years of rage and heartbreak?
Their first television interview together in 30 years.
Our top story, the death of O.J. Simpson.
Did it change anything for you?
The horror they discovered their sister Nicole faced from her secret diaries and behind closed doors.
He's about to come in again. Okay, just stay on the line. I don't want to stay on the line. He's going to beat the shit. Wait a minute. Okay, the kids are sleeping.
It was just frightening. I just wish that I had known more. My sister lived in hell.
Now, with a new Lifetime documentary about their sister, everyone will be talking about the Diane Sawyer interview.
The pain doesn't go away.
Starting Tuesday morning on GMA.
You're watching America's #1 streaming news. Keep streaming with ABC News Live.
What's good to watch, read? Where can I get a great deal on what I'm just dying to buy? Oh, it's all right here. GMA Life. All the exclusive and buzziest celebrity good stuff. Deals and steals with amazing savings and the coolest lifestyle tips from Good Morning America.
I love that so much.
GMA Life. Streaming weekends on ABC News Live. Your weekend just got a little better with GMA Life.
When it matters most, America turns to David Muir and ABC's World News Tonight.
If you want a relationship, a happy relationship, you need to be in control of that relationship.
Andrew Tate is one of many male supremacy influencers.
You see him as this guy that has money, has girls. Basically, he's a god.
This compound, where prosecutors say he ran a sex trafficking business from.
We're not the first affluent, wealthy men who have been unfairly attacked.
You think he raped you?
They never meant for any of this to be public.
Someone has to say there's something wrong going around here.
Andrew Tate, Into the Manosphere, now streaming on Hulu.
Whenever, wherever news breaks, it's so important to always remember that lives are changed. Here in London, in Buffalo, Uvalde, Texas, Edinburgh, Scotland.
From Poland once again tonight. Thank you so much for streaming with us. Ukrainian refugees here in Warsaw.
Do you think you'll ever be able to go back home? We're heading to a small community outside of Mexico City.
Splintered houses and splintered lives. The magnitude of the devastation. You're streaming ABC News Live. Reporting from Rolling Fork, Mississippi.
Santa Fe, New Mexico. Raleigh, North Carolina.
The U.S. Capitol.
Mayfield, Kentucky.
Minneapolis.
Mexico. Tongass National Forest, Alaska.
getting you behind the stories as they happen, giving you a front row seat to our world as it plays out in real time, live.
ABC News Live Prime. We'll take you there.
Stream ABC News Live weeknights, America's most honored streaming news program, only on ABC News Live, streaming free right now wherever you stream your news.
And finally tonight on this Memorial Day, the 20-year-old who was honoring the last of the greatest generation. Our Lindsay Davis reports.
Mission accomplished on this Memorial Day weekend for one Pennsylvania community.
You're looking good.
A celebration for those who served. A parade in honor of 31 World War II veterans. Guests of honor, all ranging in age from 96 to 104. 20-year-old Tyler Boland helped make it all possible.
In 1941, Pearl Harbor happened.
We shared Tyler's story last month as he set out to keep history alive by interviewing as many living World War II veterans as possible. He's already sat down with more than 100 so far to share their stories, keeping their legacy alive. Norman Reifsnyder served in the Army and the Battle of the Bulge.
My division landed in France about 2 months after D-Day, and there are very few of us left.
You look handsome, Benjamin. Corporal Benjamin Barry says he has no regrets.
I definitely do it all over again. Country needed me, and I needed the country.
And Dorothy Dottie Trait, a real-life Rosie the Riveter. Dottie was a factory punch press operator during the war and reminds us all of the true meaning of today's holiday.
Remembering and honoring those that gave their lives and support for our country. Very important.
Our thanks to Lindsay and those heroes for sharing their stories. That's our show for this hour. I'm Alex Brachet in for Lindsay Davis. Stay tuned for ABC News Live for more context and analysis of the day's top story. Thank you for streaming with us. Good night.
Why do so many people start their day here?
From ABC News, this is Start Here.
To be in the know and get a different take on the day's top stories.
A lot of news today, so let's get into it.
Listen now to the Daily News Podcast honored with 4 Edward R. Murrow Awards and see why the New York Times calls it a news podcast worth listening to. Start Here, ABC News. Make it your daily first listen.
Now, that's a part of the story I bet you didn't see coming.
Wherever you get your podcasts, Start Here. Hey, do you know a dad in desperate need of a style upgrade? Well, GMA's got you covered. For Father's Day, we're looking for an awesome dad to give the makeover of all makeovers. Scan the QR code or go to goodmorningamerica.com and tell us why a dad in your life deserves a brand new look. It's the Dad Do-Over, a Father's Day celebration on GMA.
They call him the Beauty Queen Killer. He's targeting young women in malls.
I am single. I want to enjoy the company of a member of women.
He tortured me.
How did she survive 9 days of terror?
The word accomplice came up. Nobody knows the real story.
The Beauty Queen Killer, only on Hulu.
Let's go.
We are heading into the unknown.
It doesn't get any more cutting edge than this.
Hi, I'm Andy. And I'm Sabrina. And we're moms, juggling tons of stuff every day, like all you moms out there. And you know what we love? Really love? Pop culture. So what happens when being obsessed with pop culture collides with being a mom? You get us. So listen now to our new podcast, Pop Culture Moms, wherever you get your podcasts.
What does it take